Hi folks, just polished off some Afghans. These were from Artisan Designs. I actually did these for off to the right here. I think you might have seen those, but I have based them up just to spruce them up a bit. There's a bit of a mix of grass and stones I had. I like to use some of the finer stuff on basing and just a few of the stones. So as you can see, that's quite a nice grit. The only thing that people might quibble over is, I suppose, I don't know if you'd have the mix of colours like grey stones and more of a sandy stone, I'm not sure, but it could always be rubble or something like that. I like to have lots of different, I'm starting to collect all the Java Scenas ready mixed packs, and they're quite reasonable for all the, well, the variety of bits that you get in there. Those are quite handy. And they're good for a tabletop standard. You know, if you really want to take things to display standard, you need to be looking at some of the nicer basing material stuff they've got out there. But for me, just getting through my lead mountain, it's just the job. You know, you're looking a couple of feet away, they're based. You know, you can put a few tufts on there to spruce them up, and I think that works out really nicely. And does the job, maybe I should say. I've just put one on a cap of sorts just to give you a bit of a view. Sorry about the poor lighting. I do have a light box, but I'm not sure what improvement that would be when taking videos. I know that I like to take pictures using that. I might give the light box a go sometime. I do have another overhead light if I just turn that on. It doesn't seem to make much of a difference. So these are the Afghan regulars. I've got a section of 8 here, and they're for the second Afghan war. The white has now, well, I have tried to improve the method. This one was heavily using the shade that I bought. I bottled that into a convenient little squeezy bottle. It's a sepia wash. These clear bottles are very handy. You can buy a pack of, well, some 8 or 10 bottles, and I think I got those down in Firestone, but I'm sure they're available on eBay. Very nifty to have clear bottles like that, the squeezy bottles. I know some people don't like those kinds of bottles, but for me they are, well, I must say I prefer them to the Games Workshop bottles, which I'm quite a clumsy person, so I was always knocking those over, and when the null oil is fairly expensive for the amount that you get, it was quite wasteful. So anyway, back to it. The sepia wash is nice. I don't know if you can see, but it's in the recesses. So I had that, well, I think I had Vallejo Silver Grey mixed in with a bit of off-white, which I've started to replace with, or added I should say, some ivory is interesting in there. So if you're just mixing around your whites, it's worth picking up ivory. It covers a bit better than off-white. It's less thin, so that stands up better for covering over darker colours. And don't be afraid at how yellowish you think it is. There is some tint in there, but if you look at any white in the real world, you barely ever get brilliant white, so don't be too afraid of using that. I was looking at something, I think it was in the Indian Mutiny book that I just received. I was hunting down the Osprey book, and I had found some on eBay, and also my favourite bookstore online is Abe Books, A-B-E Books, but people were selling them for £40 because the copy's out of print now, completely. I contacted Osprey Publishing and asked if they would consider bringing it out of print, but unless there's a demand for it, it doesn't look like it's going to be back, so I very luckily picked up an old copy. I was about to buy just that, but I actually had a really good deal, 3 Osprey books for a tenner. It was Saladin, which is one that I didn't want, but I would, flick through, but it was worth it just to get the other 2, which was the Indian Mutiny, and there's a book which is 3rd in a series on the Victorian British Army, and that one mainly covers India and Afghanistan, maybe the Crimea as well. so that was really handy to have because I really wanted the colour plates for painting the Indian Mutiny should I get round to it. But at the moment I am definitely on a little ban from buying miniatures, and I'm just trying to get through what I have. So these are on the way. The stain worked really well. I don't know if it shows better on the folds, and it's subtle, you know, sepia wash is subtle, whereas you're basically hitting it with a hammer if you go for dark brown or black wash over white, I think. Just want a little bit of darkness just to bring out the folds. And usually I'm lazy on the crossbelt and I barely ever paint the metallic clasps, but I have done that, and it's nice just to outline it with a bit of black. The facings are light blue, which I managed to achieve using field blue and Luftwaffe uniform World War II. That gave you a nice sort of one coat light blue, covered really well. I've mixed in, so some of the trousers are white, the tunics are red. I think there's quite a lot of flat red in there. Yeah, it's cavalry brown and flat red, I think. And well, happy with those now. Got black grey for the leather, and yeah, job done. So those are the Afghans. You'll probably see a video from me quite soon, because I'm coming to the end of the Grenadiers. Enough to do quite a few stands. I've got a lot of them in bear skins. They're going to form a few stands of Grenadiers. I'm going to have enough probably for a combined battalion of Grenadiers, which you see sometimes. I was reading about Borodino, and there were definitely battalions of, you had, you know, full Grenadier battalions, so you don't always have to have them just as a company, you know, at the end. Maybe that goes without saying. I already know that old guard Grenadiers, you know, you'd feel those in battalions, but for your more regular Grenadiers, those often came with banded together, and they've got different stats in black powder, I take it. I wasn't sure whether to, sorry, I should be showing you something now. I wasn't sure whether to band together some battalions of Voltigeurs and treat them as line infantry. You know, is that possible? Just have like an almost a light infantry battalion, because you can have light infantry, and those are in dark blue uniforms usually, but dark blue trousers as well. So that's worth considering. But then I've got lots of Voltigeurs. I was wondering whether I could band those together into battalions, and I've got officers and drummers for them. That's the big thing. So there's not much point just putting them out skirmishing if I've got the drummer and the lot, you know. Probably won't give them a flag bearer, but I've got some buglers. And yeah, there's also a Rorke's-Drift diorama to be finished. I've green stuffed the mealie bags, and I've put a plastic assegai sticking out of it, and I've got the historical Rorke's-Drift characters there: Bromhead, Shard, Colour Sergeant Bourne, and the historical Hook, which I really like, because Hook's a really interesting character in the historical narrative, you know. And some casualties for the Napoleonic Wars as well. Just going to send these Afghans off to John, who bought them as a commission. He's picked up my French Foreign Legion, and I think he bought some Afghans from me previously, the Highlanders, I believe. So my second Afghan war collection is getting sold off completely, because I wasn't wargaming it, and that's one of the criteria for what I keep. And I wasn't intending on wargaming it either. I'm trying to narrow, but also expand some small collections that I really like. The Anglo-Zulu War staying, all my bolt action stuff. I always have lots of war games with that. So yeah, lots to think about, and just getting through this Lead Mountain. It's definitely dwindling. I don't know if I can show the cupboard. Sorry about the mess. So the drawers here, they should be labelled really. This is one of the cupboards of shame. There's some things primed up there. There's some French Napoleonic dragoons. I know it doesn't look very organised, but there's some organisation in my head to it. There's some French Napoleonics that I've peeled off. I don't really want to paint those right now. I think the dragoons are high up on the list, because I don't have any cavalry for the Napoleonic Wars yet. in there then. That's not stuff to be immediately painted, but getting there. It's nice to have some stuff that's part painted because it doesn't take long to finish those off. In the purple box then there's the last of my Anglo-Zulu War metals, and right at the back there some foundry metals that I've nearly finished, some Highlanders and Trues, and there's either Pulleen, oh no, there's Coghill I believe, mounted cavalry officer, and some Vietnam NVA, those are primed up. I've got some Fallschirmjäger primed up, but they're not in here. The bottom drawer is... oh! This was my plastic and metal mountain, so it's very quickly getting cleared out. The metals that I've got left now are in a smaller box. It's not the pile that it once was. These are the... they're the Franco-Prussian War, I think, that Ralph and Liberator said they were, so there's a confirmation on those. And dismounted dragoons in the back, they're not high on the list because I'm not skirmishing Napoleonics right this second, so they're not a priority as you would say. Got some of the KR cases, which are always handy, and a big supply of baking paper because that's my wet palette. Uh-oh, I've got a bit of, maybe that'll feature in another video. Well, some Dark Age warriors, and then the rest in there is actually painted, to be fair. There's some dwarves for my fantasy collection, and yeah, that's about it. Dark Age warriors, I'll have to think what we're going to do with those, maybe multi-base them, and they can be combined with some of my Welsh metals, and to form some battalions, either to be sold off, or if I have some moment of madness and decide to collect a Hail Caesar army for the Welsh, that would be a temptation, definitely. And or I could do them as Anglo-Saxons in opposition to my Welsh. It's always nice to have plastics, but it's I'm just trying to get through everything that I have, and it seems to be working, I must say. The Confederates I've built up, I just need to clean off the mould lines and prime them. I've got 2 battalions out of one of the boxes. All you have to do to get 2 battalions is actually order 1 more sprue, which I did very inexpensively. I think it was £3 or £4. And they're going to be 1 battalion of Fort Sumter Guard, and the other battalion would be regular Confederates.